Today on an all-new Marylin, what's trending in 2021? Kasia Walasek unveils the hottest color of the year. Find out the easiest ways to sprinkle it throughout your life. Then discover the new direction home decor is taking when Ali Velji gives us a tour of this modern bungalow. Plus, it's the toast of the town. Sebastian Sentner tips us off to some of the trendiest cocktails of 2021. And food for thought. Culinary nutritionist Trudy Stone reveals which foods to keep your eye on in the year ahead. It all starts right now. Up next, Sebastian Sentner tips us off to some of the trendiest cocktails of 2021. That's up next.
Welcome back. Joining us with what's trending in drinks for 2021 is Sebastian Sentner. There's trends in drinking. I love that.
Of course, there's always trends. Not that we need a trend to drink, but especially these days. But
No.
we've got a few really great things to keep it current for 2021.
All right. The first one on the list, Sebastian, it's so great to see you. And you always have the latest stuff, is orange wine. Really?
Well, yeah. So orange wine is actually wine it's not made from oranges. That's a bit of a misconception. So orange wine refers to the color of the wine, and it's like a traditional white wine. But what happens is they actually leave the skin on the white wine grapes, and it turns the wine a bit of an orange hue or color. So what happens, there's really two things about orange wine. Number one, it's slightly stronger than white wine. It's a bit more full-bodied. So if you like a full-bodied white wine, you're going to love orange wine. But secondly, in this day and age, it's all about Instagrammable and photographable and what you can put on social media. And everyone seems to be going crazy about having orange wine because of the color of it. And so that's something that obviously adds to the aesthetic.
So what did you want to show us with the orange wine, Sebastian?
So I want to show you three ways you can use orange wine today. So first of all, the orange wine itself is just great. You can drink it on its own. You can put a little bit of ice in it, like a white wine. However, I'm going to show you tell you about two interesting ways. Number one, you can make a spritzer out of it. So just like you do a white wine spritzer, same thing, but you replace it with orange wine. And again, it's got that beautiful color and a little bit more full bodiness to it. But here's my favorite thing to do. What I've made here is I've made an orange wine sangria. So same as a white wine sangria, I've got some cut fruit in there, I've got a little bit of sparkling water, but you just see the tone of it and the hue, and it's just so colorful and bright. And it also, because the wine's a little bit stronger, if you actually marinate the fruit in it overnight, the fruit gets this really, really strong flavor to it that's really accents the sangria.
Oh, what a great idea. It looks really beautiful. It is Instagrammable. You're right. I love it. Okay. The next thing is bubbly rosé, and that's been a trend with me for a long time. That's not even a trend. That's something I love.
It's like a staple. It's like a staple, but it is becoming trendy
It's a
again.
staple.
I mean, you and Sheila, you love your rosé. We know that. And you can drink rosé. Rosé is mostly a summer drink. We drink it all year long. But if you're looking for something that's a little bit more upscale, so if you're doing something for the holidays, if you're doing something for a celebration, it's always nice to be able to do champagne or sparkling wine. And what we're seeing now is the convergence of those two trends, rosé with sparkling or champagne. Now, it's not that these products haven't been around for a long time. They have. Again, you can get great domestic products, international products. It's just that we've seen them really rise in popularity nowadays, and for a few reasons. Number one, there's a lot more varieties of rosé available in sparkling format. So these are a couple of samples that are inexpensive sparkling wines. You're around the $15 to $20 a bottle. And then, of course, you can go up to the higher end sparkling rosés and champagnes if you're looking to drink something neat. So here's the thing about sparkling rosé. Couple things. It's generally sweeter than regular rosé, just like sparkling wine is or champagne. So if you're going to drink sparkling rosé, I usually recommend that you do it also in cocktails. It's a really great alternative to using soda. So for example, you're making a vodka soda or something like that, just put a splash of sparkling rosé in there, and it adds a bit of color, but it also adds a touch of sweetness, which is really nice.
Very good. I love that. All right. Now, there could be a very big divide between this, and I know you'll sell us on it. Canned wines. Canned wines?
You know what? I know, Marylin, if you had said to me 5 years ago, we actually, a little inside joke, we went to a friend's house about 10 years ago for dinner who was a big wine aficionado, and I brought him a box of wine. and I talked to him about how this was my favorite wine and da da da, and just played along with it. Well, of course, boxed wines, canned wines. It's like, God, what are we talking about? But what's really interesting
Mhm.
is that they've actually started to make some really good products. And what people have noticed is that if you're using the canning process properly, you can take some, good wines and some things like sparkling rosé is a great example of that, and put it
Sure.
in a canned format. And there's a whole bunch of advantages. So if you look at some of the products that I have here, this is a sparkling
Mhm.
rosé, but it's in a canned format. So the great thing about it is that it's a sparkling wine. We're not looking, you would not see this in a champagne format. Champagne will always be in a bottle. But when you're looking at sort of, your average wines and your average sparkling, you might as well keep them in a can. It's a great way to actually preserve them, in some cases better than a bottle, but also there's a whole bunch of other
Mhm.
advantages. Number one, it's single serve. So you can buy a 4-pack or a 3-pack or whatever it is. Well, you can open one at a time instead of opening the bottle and finding out that, okay, you're halfway through the bottle and you got to pour out the rest because you're not going to finish it that evening. So the portioning is really good.
Mhm. Mhm.
But the other thing is that with all the entertaining that we're doing nowadays, there's two other really good reasons why canned wines can work for you. Number one is because they actually get cold faster because the format is smaller, and they stay cold longer. So these, you can just throw them on ice.
Mhm.
They keep really, really cool. You can drink them out of the can, or you can just pour them from there, but it's a much better format for that. Okay. And the second reason
I
for it
agree.
is
Yeah.
that, and I mean, have you had a good canned wine yet or not yet? Because we'll have to get you some, and then
No,
we'll
but
convert you.
you've converted me. It's my producer Tamara that's not so sure about it. But I get why, because it's portion control first of all, but it does keep things colder. And why not? If you got things like sparkling water in a can, which I have in my refrigerator, then I
Yeah.
don't waste a bottle. So it's the same application.
100%. Like to me, it's about applying some really great technology in canning and stuff to products that are
Yeah.
appropriate for it. You're not going to take, a high-end red wine or a high-end white wine or a champagne and put it in a can. But
No.
some of these sparkling products and white wines are great. And what you're finding is that now there's so much availability to them that you can get a really broad range of products. Like I have a white wine sparkling here. Actually, this is just a
All
white wine,
right.
yeah, sparkling. This is a rosé
Yeah.
sparkling. But then I also have the ability to find a really, really simple white wine. It's not sparkling, but it's also in a can.
Okay. Last thing is at home cocktail kits and gadgets. Thanks, Sebastian. What do you want to show us?
First of all, you
Okay.
always want to have a great bar kit. So now a great bar kit, really inexpensive, generally comes in 3 or 4 pieces. You always have your shaker. You definitely have something to measure out, so your shot glasses. In this case, it's a double size, a
Hmm.
half and a full ounce. Then what we have is a couple of tools that come with this. You've got a muddler. So a muddler is meant, so if you're going to muddle mint or raspberries or anything at the bottom of your shaker or bottom of a glass, it's a really great tool. You always want your spoon so you can stir up your
Hmm.
cocktails. And lastly, this is something that, again, this was one kit. I bought the whole thing for, I think, $19 online. But this is a little trick. These are
Wow.
little spigots that go in your bottles. And what these are is they're actually dosed. So these are 1 ounce spigots. So when you actually put this on your bottle of vodka or whatever and you pour it out, it's going to pour 1 ounce and then it's going to stop. And you'll have to turn it up and turn it down again. So this is a really
Okay.
great way. This is a bit of a restaurant trick, but I love to use it. So that's number one. Number two, okay, so I don't know if you've ever seen this, but this is called a rimming kit. So a rimming kit, if you've ever had a really great cocktail at a restaurant, it's got all that beautiful sugar or salt around the edge, or maybe a margarita. I'm sure you've had one somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what
Mm-hmm.
they do
Yeah.
basically, you would see this on the bar. Well, the thing is, you can do this at home just as easily. Again, this was under $20 to order this online. It's a great little kit. It folds together to be compact, and it's got a spot for your lime juice. It's got a spot for salt and a spot for sugar, a little bit of a tongue twister there.
Yes.
And what you basically do is you put your
Uh-huh.
drink in it, and then you rim the glass, and it just gives this extra little flavor. It gives a real mixologist professional bartending twist.
Any other things you want to show us?
Got two things to show you last of, but not least. First of all, in the idea of the rimming kits, you can get all these great salts online, so you can make your own. But I find it's really great to order a few, try them, and again, there's some fantastic stuff you can order online or get at your local store. And then lastly, pre-batched cocktails. Now, pre-batched cocktails, going back to canned wine,
Oh, yeah.
10 years ago, you'd think, oh my gosh, what is that? That's got to be terrible. It's margarita in a bottle, in a bottle or a box or something. But what we're finding now
Right.
is that without the alcohol in them, you're finding these really great mixes online. So this is a Paloma cocktail mix. It's done in small batches.
Hmm.
It's super high end. It's got no alcohol in it, which means you can order this online. You can make, mom and dad can have their Paloma with a little bit of tequila to help take the edge off after a week of homeschooling and working from home. And the kids can
Right.
have their own
Right.
non-alcoholic version.
Those are great kits to get, and I know that like, a lot of people, like you say, baking, cooking, and so why not just kind of expand the bar a little bit? Okay, we'll get together soon. I hope. Fingers crossed. We do have to take a break, everybody. We'll be right back.
Hey.